Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we are making the most delicious Philly cheesesteak. This dish was invented between 1920 and 1930s. I mean, it goes way back in Philadelphia, hence the name Philly, and now has become so popular in the United States as well as around the world. And today we are making the delicious Philly steak at home, and I have the perfect recipe to take it up a notch. So let's get to it. When it comes to Philly cheesesteak, there's three things to consider. Firstly is that bread. Today we're using something called rusticata roll, which is very similar to a baguette, best of both worlds, French and Italian. So this is a plain rusticata. You want something a little bit crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. If you use a normal hot dog roll, then make sure that you toast it on the inside just to get it a little bit firm so that it holds the juices in. Nobody wants to eat a soggy bread. The next and the most important ingredient is steak. Here I have a beautiful piece of ribeye. I mean, ribeye is the most popular steak used because of its marbling. That fat on that inside is so beautiful. This is one of the juiciest steaks out there. So if you have sirloin or ram, you can go for it. This is a frozen piece of meat. We're keeping it frozen because we need to slice this really thin. Philly cheesesteak is basically that roll, slices of steak as well as beautiful fried onions. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And to top it off with a beautiful cheese sauce. Damn, it's gonna be so good. In the United States, you have two options: provolone, which is a very popular cheese used, and the second option is Cheese Whiz, which is very similar to Melrose cheese here in South Africa. It comes in that glass container. I mean, you would throw that in a pan, heat it up, and turn that into a nice sauce, and then drizzle that all over your cheesesteak. But today, we are taking it up a notch, and we are making our own cheese sauce. Yes, people, we are doing it the right way. I mean, I don't want to touch processed cheese, and there's nothing better than pure, mature cheddar. I mean, it's going to be too nice. Anyways, let's start off with that sauce. So really simple, we're going to be making something like a bechamel, a white sauce, which is the foundation of a cheese sauce. So we're going to start off with a roux, which is butter and flour. Get yourself a saucepan, turn on the heat. We're going for a low heat. Grab yourself a nice knob of butter, goes in, let that melt for a bit. You want to keep this on a low heat because you don't want to burn that butter. So using a nice saucepan is the way to go. So I like to make the cheese sauce first because once I make that steak, you don't want to let it sit for a long period of time because you cannot really reheat steak. You're just going to end up with rubber pieces. So make sure you cook that steak last. So butter is getting nice and melted here. What we want to do is grab a tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Okay, that goes in. Grab your whisk and then cook out that flour. You are now creating that roux, which is that foundation of that sauce. Just like a bechamel, you want to make sure that you cook that flour out. Okay, back on the heat. So once your flour is nicely cooked in, you want to add some milk. So add in some milk. Now you see you get this nice thick consistency. Okay, it means you need to add in some more milk and just whisk until it is nice and silky smooth. There's really only one thing you can mess up with making a pure white sauce, and that is not cooking out that flour. It's so important to cook out the flour, otherwise you're going to be getting that flour taste when you're enjoying your beautiful steak. Lovely. I mean, this is too nice, people. Once your sauce is silky smooth, now you want to add in some seasoning. So pinch of salt, throwing in some kosher salt. Okay, just a pinch. You want some flavor in there. Okay, a tablespoon of white pepper goes in, a tablespoon of paprika. As you can see, beautiful. Actually creates that nice kind of yellowish look when adding in that paprika. So looks like a real cheese sauce now. Make sure all the spices are cooked in. And now for our main ingredient, some mature cheddar. So as I mentioned, provolone and Swiss cheese is very popular. I mean, Swiss cheese is made with some cheddar, but we want to take it up a notch and use pure mature cheddar. So grabbing your cheddar, a nice handful of cheddar goes in. It all depends on how cheesy you want your sauce. So I'll just get that in. Back on the heat, let that melt in nicely. As you can see, getting nice and sticky. That's what I'm talking about. Give it a small taste. Oh wow. That's good. Good. And there we have it, people. Beautiful cheese sauce. Man, this is gonna go so nicely on that steak. Cannot wait. Anyways, this is now done. We can leave this to rest. Let's get on with that onions. So, second step is to get nice and caramelized onions. I mean, nothing's better than nice onions on some beef. Let's get to it. So, get your cast iron pan on. Make sure that it's on low heat because we don't want to end up burning these onions. You want a nice color on them, and to get them nice and brown, you just need to get them to a low to medium skillet and you're good to go. So, really simple. Cut your onion. Now, it all depends on how you want your onions. You can have them diced really nice and small, or you can get nice long pieces in your steak. So, I like those long pieces, so I mean, why dice them up? So, really simple. Let's get these onions in. Add in some oil. Because I am working on a low heat, I'm using extra virgin olive oil. As mentioned, I want this nice and caramelized and don't want it to get burnt. So, onions in. Once the onions are in, throw in a nice portion of salt. This is to draw out that moisture. And just get them going. I like to use a cast iron pan for this just because of that nice char bits. But I mean, if you have a non-stick pan, that will also do. So you want to cook this in for about 10 minutes. As I mentioned, low and slow. I mean, these babies really takes that Philly cheesesteak to another level. So as you can see, the onions are beautiful, nice and caramelized. And I mean, as I mentioned, it has to be at a low heat for a long period of time. I think we're sitting here around 20 minutes now, but you need those onions to sweat out the sugars, and that can only happen over an extended period of time. So we can leave these in the cast iron pan because, as you know, cast iron pan retains heat, so it'll keep those onions nice and warm and continue releasing those sugars. So let's work on this beautiful ribeye steak. Here I have two beautiful pieces of frozen ribeye steak. And why frozen? Because we need to cut this in really thin slices. If the steak was at room temperature, it's really difficult to get those nice thin neat slices. So it all depends on how much you want. I'm just gonna cut a bit. Okay, so beautiful. You also need a really sharp knife. Make sure you give it a good sharpen. I mean, the marbling is so beautiful on the steak. The amount of fat that you see here is, damn. That is why ribeye all the way. So, I mean, this is quite a bit, so it's like I won't be even using that piece of steak. So, since these are quite long, just want to stack them up. You really want some nice bite sizes. Nobody wants to be biting a steak roll and trying to battle on pulling that one piece of steak out. Okay, so as you can see, we have some nice bite sizes. I really halved this twice and these are looking so good. It's time to sear them. What we need to do is take our beautiful caramelized onions and throw them in a bowl. Now we just want to give the pan a nice wipe. Okay, get all those bits and pieces of onions out. Pan is nice and clean. Turn on the heat to low. Same process here, we want the steak to be seared on nice low heat because now that they are cut, you don't want to get this char and burn. You want them to be still nice and juicy, so you don't want to overcook them. Make sure you monitor your steak when it hits that pan. Some olive oil in. Olive oil is fine when dealing on low heat. Once you see a little smoke, we're going to toss that beautiful pieces of ribeye in. Time to take your steak, throw it right in there. And then just spread them around. Okay, So because the steak was frozen, you're gonna see a little water get into that pan. And once that water is completely evaporated, it's time to add in a little bit more oil and get that steak nicely cooked. So just turn it up to a medium just to get that water evaporated quicker. So now you can hear that water is evaporated and you hear that beautiful sizzle, which means the steak is now getting cooked. So it's time to season this bad boy. Some salt, and throw in some fleur de sel. Okay. You can use any type of salt that you have at home, preferably coarse salt. Some beautiful pepper, black pepper. Starting to smell amazing. I mean, whew, this is gonna be one good Philly cheesesteak. Time to throw in those onions. So onions goes in, give them a nice mix, and there you have it. Beautiful ribeye steak with some nice caramelized onions. I mean, it looks amazing. Okay, now switch off the heat and we can let this sit there and get our roll ready. So here I have a rusticata roll, which is both of French and Italian, and smells so good. A little crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. So make sure you get a fresh one. It's going to be so good. So what I want to do is just halve this. Definitely not eating a whole roll. Get yourself a knife. Not all the way through. The same way you cut a hot dog roll. You don't want your steak to fall out from the bottom, so make sure you go to the end and not all the way through. That's the best thing when having a nice crispiness on the outside. You get a nice solid roll. So if you want, you can take some butter, throw that on the inside. I mean, some people like to go straight mayo on this. All depends what you like. I mean, butter. I'm going to be using some Dijon mustard because I love Dijon mustard. But I mean, if you don't, some good tangy mayo on this roll and you are good to go. It's some Dijon, my favorite. Damn, beautiful Dijon. Yes, lovely. Okay, Dijon in. Now, a lot of people like to take the roll and put it over the steak and then pull it out. We're not going to do that. Let's not make life hard. All we need to do is just take our beautiful steak and drop that baby in. Once that is in, get that nice and even all over that roll. There we go. Man, look at this baby right here. Turn on your heat. Get that cheese sauce back on the sauce. Get it nice and silky smooth. Hit it with a little bit of pepper. It's time for the sauce. Oh man. I mean, just have a look at that, people. And all we have to do is now close this baby up. Oh yeah. Hello, hello, hello. And let's take a bite, shall we? So messy, but so good. My God, damn it, that's good. Whew. That is nice, people. I mean, those onions. So good. I mean, I cannot even explain how tasty this is. Man, that sauce. I mean, come on now. This is so good. I mean, just that onions alone is unbelievable. Don't worry about messing because it's still good to eat off the board. Got to love ribeye. And a small secret right here. I used smoked paprika, so you got this nice smoky taste coming from that sauce in that beef. It is, oh, damn, you need to try this at home. I am telling you, people, got to love a Philly cheesesteak. Oh my God, definitely making this again. Damn. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. We are almost at the end of season 4 and to end of 2021. I have a few favorites coming soon. So I will see you on the next one.